Hi, I'm Christy Ferris, and I'm sitting with Bobby Mardis for the director's commentary. How you doing?
Good, excellent.
Good. So, Bobby, you've done some narrative comedies and dramatic films. What was the inspiration for doing the faith-based documentary for Katrina?
Well, I have relatives in New Orleans and Mississippi, and at one point, obviously they were affected too. 80% of the city was underwater. I knew that I could start an email campaign and say, these are the family members that are in need, and you should send something, whatever it is. Here's the address. Some family members actually took other family members who were affected in, the ones in New Orleans went to Mississippi and just different parts of the Gulf Coast, and some went to as far as Atlanta. It affected me in such a way that I wanted to start and actually do something. But I knew that it was much more than just an email campaign. With what I do, which is a filmmaker, I thought that I could shoot a film and have it affect people in some way, shape, or form. And then one day when I went to church, I go to West Angeles in Los Angeles, and Bishop Blake, he was talking to the congregation, and it's almost like he switched reels, and he said, is anyone here, I feel that someone here needs a miracle. And I immediately say, yeah, that would be me. And he just kept talking. He kept talking, and everything he said, it sounded like it was directly related to my needs. And then I got this tunnel vision, like everybody was just gone. It was just me and the bishop. He was just saying certain things, and I was like, yeah, he must have a camera in my house. He must know. And through that whole process, he just, he said, when he was done, he said, now, anyone who needs this miracle, we need you to stand up and need you to come down. And typically I don't stand up and come down. For whatever reason, I don't. But this particular time, it's like he slapped me on the back of the head and said, don't mess with me, come down now. So I was obedient. I got up and I walked down, and then I noticed that he also touched a number of other people. And so there was a number of us standing there at the altar. He just put his hand out and he prayed over us. And when he was praying over us, it was like I was getting this inspiration to know that I was going to complete this project, and that there were no obstacles that weren't going to come in my way and be unsolved. And so by the time he was done and I walked back to my seat, it was almost like I knew it was going to happen, but I didn't have the answers. But the next Sunday that I came to church, it was almost like he said the same thing. Not the same thing, but he touched upon some of the last week's activity issues. And once again, he gave me the inspiration to just do it, not even knowing how I'm going to do it. And then after a while, I just said, you know what? It hit me how I was going to do it.
You just had the money just to go down here and do this? I mean, you just picked up and left?
Yes. First of all, I did not have the money. Once again, I used my credit card and just knew that the bills would get paid somehow. I knew that if I was supposed to go there and do that, I was going to be taken care of. So I booked a flight and went to New Orleans, got a rental-car, and just had my camera equipment. And I really didn't have a plan as to who I was going to interview, but everyone was affected who was there, so it wasn't a shortage of people to interview. And on a monthly basis, I would come back and I would get a gig and I would apply the monies that I made to the bills that I was acquiring. And at one point, it was just I was like a Katrina druggie. It was my Katrina habit, and I needed a fix every month. Otherwise, the big man was going to come after me, and the big man was the credit card companies. so I had to appease him. And it just worked.
No, it's interesting that you say that with the title being Keeping the Faith. You know, it's pretty much exactly what you did and just being led. And I think it's going to be an inspiration for a lot of people who are watching it, because it's going to bless someone when God gives you that vision to birth and say, look, this is what I want you to do. Go after it, trust me. And that's exactly what you did.
I was just inspired by the whole thing. And you know how things just come to you. You don't know how they come to you. They just come to you. I would run across the Salvation Army, and I would run across the head person, and I asked him, well, can I get an interview? He goes, well, come this way. Everything I asked for, I got.
Okay, so Spike produced When the Levees Broke, and gosh, there's been a plethora of other films that have been produced about Katrina. What makes your film different from all of the other films?
Well, Spike's film, much needed film, When the Levees Broke, and he talked more about the conspiratorial element, and which definitely needed to be talked about. When you saw the people on the roofs and this, that, and the other, we need to know why they were there. Why does it take, why does it only take 2 or 3 days to get to Chile or Sri Lanka to help in a problem, but it may take 5 or 6 days in your backyard? Why? And enough news coverage was on that, from CNN to all the networks and cable news stations, AP Wires, UP, everyone knew that. But I wanted to do a little different slant on things, and after going down there and actually saw who was helping on a day-to-day practical basis, passing out food, bringing people in, helping demold, rebuilding, mental help and support, legal services, most of it were the faith-based organizations of all denominations. So there were no color lines. This is the one time I could say that people, Americans, the religious-based communities came together. They didn't care who they were helping as long as you needed help. And that was the biggest thing, is that when you hear, there's this religious sect is fighting this religious sect and people are doing all that, if they saw everyone coming together, all the religious organizations coming together for one common goal, which is to uplift the people of the Gulf Coast, then they would look twice at what they're doing. And I think that this film may even be inspiration to them once they see this. And another thing, the other countries saw the news coverage, and they saw what the American government was doing to certain people. And so there was a certain slant on this that it was true, but it wasn't definitive. It was true because you saw it. It wasn't definitive because there were other things happening. There were news organizations that did not cover the good stuff. They always covered the bad stuff. And so it gave the idea in other countries that Americans don't care about Americans. The citizens and the government are all the same, this, that, and the other. America is bad. Well, this particular project will show the other side, that no, Americans do care about Americans, and faith-based organizations are at the helm, the ship. They're the conductors. They are the people who push it forward. I've heard tons and tons of inspirational stories where normal people were saving people. People were getting in boats and going back because they were going to higher ground. And someone would say, my mom's in the house, and well, which street does your mom live on? So they'd get on a boat and they would go to that street and find her on top of a cabinet and whatever, tell her to get in the boat and take her back to safety, and story after story after story. So it is the faith-based organizations, but it's the regular, everyday Joe Blow who has everything to lose, nothing to gain, and who just went anyway. Some people lost their lives helping. So it's more of an inspirational story that people unselfishly just gave, and people are still giving of themselves, money, this, that, and the other, but of themselves. So we're selecting 500 churches and 500 homes owned by elderly individuals. So we're getting those 1,000 entities who are being adopted and hooking them up with those 1,000 entities who have the resources. So our plan is to get 1,000 units to the church that is adopting a church or entity. And they are going to get donations for the DVD, and we're not selling the DVD, we're actually giving it as a commemorative DVD for the donations. And once we hook up with the churches and the homes that are FEMA sanctioned, they have the FEMA number, and they show a need, which is almost everyone, then we're going to start paying the rebuilding costs up to a certain limit, whatever the church collects. So that's the process. But this means a little bit more to me because it's not just a film, it's a tool to use to help somebody. And that means more to me because it's, and if I were to pass away, after I complete my goal, I would have said, well, this is what I did. You know, I did this in life, and so I'm cool with it. Not that I'm ready to go yet.
So Bobby, we just want to thank you for this project. We just pray that this will be a blessing not only to yourself but to other people. And for the ones that are out there watching, we just pray that you will keep the faith, that you will see the vision, and that you will continue to keep helping other people. We hope that this has blessed you as well as it has blessed me. And now I need to get out there and do some more stuff. Woo! No, many blessings. Keep the faith.